There is something the cat knows that most of us have forgotten. Not a trick, not a technique, not something that requires training or the right words or knowing what to say. Something simpler than all of that and older. The cat knows how to be a healing presence for another living thing, not by fixing, not by advising, not by knowing the right thing to say at the right moment, simply by arriving, simply by staying, simply by offering from within itself a frequency that says, you are not alone in this. Stay with this. Because what the cat does naturally, what costs it nothing, is something most of us have spent a lifetime trying to find words for. And the science is now showing us exactly how it works. When someone you love is having a hard time, the instinct is often to fix it. We look for the right words, the right answer, or a way to make the discomfort easier to carry. That instinct usually comes from care, but it does not always help in the way we hope. A cat does something simpler. When a person is grieving, the cat does not try to understand the whole story. It does not look for the perfect response. It does not ask what happened, how long it has been going on, or what would make it better. It comes close, it settles, and it stays. That kind of presence can matter more than we realize. It is like the friend who shows up with food and no questions, or the hand on your shoulder that says enough without needing words. Science has a name for what happens next. In the 1990s, neuroscientist Stephen Porges developed what he called the Polyvagal Theory. It changed the way researchers understand how the nervous system works, particularly in the presence of another person. At the heart of the theory is a simple insight. The human nervous system does not regulate itself entirely in isolation. It regulates itself through connection with other nervous systems. When a calm, safe, regulated nervous system comes into proximity with a dysregulated one, the dysregulated system often begins to find its way back, not through instruction, not through advice, not through the right words, through proximity, through presence, through the felt sense of another living thing that is not afraid. Scientists call this co-regulation. The cat has been doing it without knowing its name for thousands of years. Like a tuning fork placed near another, one begins to hum, and the other finds the same note through the air between them. Your calm is not passive. Your steadiness is not doing nothing. Your presence, unhurried, undemanding, and unafraid, is comforting and healing. One thing cats seem to do well is give their full attention. They are not thinking about the next thing on their schedule. They are not checking a screen while sitting beside you. They are simply there. Research by psychologists James Pennebaker and others suggests that feeling heard and receiving another person's full attention can have meaningful effects on well-being and stress. Often what helps most is not advice or problem solving. It is the experience of being listened to and understood. Cats do not arrive with an agenda. They do not seem concerned with changing the moment or making it more comfortable. They simply stay present with what is happening. It is a simple thing, but not always an easy one. To sit with another person without rushing them, fixing the situation, or looking for a way out. Sometimes our presence communicates something important. Take the time you need. I'm here. You don't have to go through this alone. We may underestimate how much that can matter. Another thing cats seem to do well is resist the urge to fix what cannot be fixed right away. For many of us, that is difficult. When someone we care about is struggling, we naturally want to help. We look for solutions, reassurance, or something we can do to make the situation easier. That impulse usually comes from a good place. But when someone is dealing with stress, fear, loss, or uncertainty, immediate reassurance and problem solving are not always what they need most. Sometimes the message they receive is not the one we intend. Instead of feeling understood, they may feel rushed toward feeling better. Cats take a different approach. They do not seem concerned with solving the problem. They stay nearby, they remain calm, and they allow the moment to be what it is. In human relationships, that kind of steady presence can be surprisingly meaningful. It communicates something simple. You do not have to carry this by yourself. I am here, and I am not uncomfortable with your discomfort. Sometimes that is more helpful than any solution we could offer. Neuroscientist Daniel Siegel describes something called attunement. It's the experience of feeling genuinely met by another person, not because they have the perfect words or the right advice, but because their presence helps you feel safe enough to simply be where you are. Research suggests that this kind of attunement can help regulate the nervous system. And it isn't communicated by words alone. It's reflected in your tone, your pace, your breathing, and the steadiness of your attention. In that sense, it's a little like a cat's purr. Before we think about it, our bodies often notice it first. Long before you speak, your nervous system is already communicating something. Sometimes it says, I'm uncomfortable, I need this moment to be over. And sometimes it says, I'm here with you, take the time you need. Cats seem to understand that instinctively. They don't need words to communicate it. Most of us have experienced both kinds of presence, and we usually know the difference without anyone having to explain it. Here is the part most people miss. The cat purrs from within itself first. Its own regulation, its own comfort, before it offers anything to another. The cat does not pour from an empty vessel, and neither can you. Research in compassion fatigue, studied extensively in caregivers and healthcare workers, consistently shows the same finding. The capacity to be a healing presence for another is directly connected to your own regulation first. You cannot co-regulate a dysregulated nervous system from a dysregulated place. A tuning fork that has lost its own note cannot help another find theirs. This is not selfishness. This is the science of sustainable care. The cat's purr is self-generated first. The healing of another is the overflow. So before you arrive for someone else, arrive for yourself. Ground yourself. Slow your breath. Find your own steadiness. And then bring that steadiness into the room. That is where the healing begins. Here is the part most people miss. The last thing the cat teaches may be the simplest. Stay, not only while it's easy, not only while you know what to say, and not only until the silence feels uncomfortable. Research on end-of-life care, including the work of Joan Halifax, suggests that one of the most meaningful things we can offer someone in deep difficulty is steady, undemanding presence. Not the perfect words, not the perfect advice, just the willingness to remain with them. That's what the cat does. It doesn't leave when grief is heavy. It doesn't become uneasy when the room grows quiet. It simply stays. And that quiet presence communicates something long before any words do. I'm here. Your pain doesn't make me turn away. You don't have to go through this alone. That kind of presence can be deeply comforting. Sometimes staying is enough. What we've explored today is grounded in science. It draws on polyvagal theory, co-regulation, attunement, and the research on compassionate presence. These ideas have been studied, measured, and observed for years. And yet, cats seem to understand them without ever learning the theory. They simply do what comes naturally. They arrive, they stay, they settle themselves before they try to comfort another. That may be the most important part. A calm nervous system is often what helps another nervous system begin to settle. We have that same capacity. It doesn't disappear just because we've learned to explain things, offer advice, or search for solutions. It's still there, beneath the noise, beneath the urge to fix, and beneath our discomfort with silence. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it takes intention to notice, but it's still available to us. So the next time someone you care about is hurting, remember the cat. Be fully there. Let your presence come before your advice. There's no need to rush toward a solution. Stay if that's what the moment asks of you. Very often a calm, steady presence is more helpful than we realize. And sometimes that's exactly what's needed. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you found this video helpful, consider sharing it with someone who may find it helpful as well. Before we finish, a brief reminder. This video is intended for educational and informational purposes. It is not a substitute for professional medical or mental health care. If you have concerns about your health or well-being, please consult a qualified professional. Thank you for being here.